Time has come once again to speak as co-creators in Magic Do. I'm Daniel Dubois.
I'm Michaela Gaffinstone, and we are your guides on your journey into the heart of the primordial. And if you hear a snoring dog, it's because there's a snoring dog.
Welcome to Season 9, Episode 8, Turn Your Gaze Inward. I'm feeling in a humorous mood, but I'm not going to go with the jokes that came with that for me. But
Well, you could. You could.
yeah, so self-reflection, that's the word I'm looking for.
Self-reflection, yes. I think checking in with yourself
Yeah,
is key. Absolutely key. Right now, more than ever, it's always been important, but I think it's freaking crucial right now that you check in like, am I getting carried away on a tide of something?
right.
Um, for example, if you look on your social media, that thing that we love to bash, but we're all on it, right?
Hmm.
You spend time on Instagram, for example, check out what is the purpose of the reel you're looking at. And I don't mean what are they telling you? Not that's
Right.
surface, that's very obvious, but what are they trying to make you feel?
Yes.
And who benefits from you feeling that way? And what do they then show you from there? Because the algorithm loves to build, right? YouTube's
Hmm.
even worse for that. It will literally take what you've started looking at and then it pulls you just a little bit this way, a little bit this way. And you can start off with, how do I do bicep curls correctly? And end up 3 videos later,
Right.
neck deep in the manosphere being told, if you don't look this way, chicks will never look at you. And who wants chicks anyway? They're all bitches and stuff like that. And it's just like, I
Yeah.
just wanted to know about bicep curls. Like, what the hell? But it will take
Yeah.
you. So what does each reel or each post that you're looking at, what are they trying to make you feel? Because they get money for their clicks, a lot of them. Not all the content creators, but a lot do. So what's their purpose? And typically, they're not trying to make you feel good.
No, it's interesting because today my feed actually brought up someone I hadn't seen on my feed in forever. It's this is she British? Anyways, this woman, and she just like brings you videos of like animals that you may never heard of. And they're just like
Okay.
short clips, and they're just like, here's an animal you didn't know about. And I used to see it all the time. And then for a while, I would say at least a year, because I almost forgot I was subscribed. And then the video popped up. I'm like, oh crap, yeah, I followed this person.
Right? And they disappear for a while, but they're
Yeah,
not very controversial, right?
no. Oh yeah, no, not at all. It's basically just a short clip of feel good for a few minutes and we'll go on with your day,
Right?
something new. Yeah. My
Yeah.
feed used to
And
be full with stuff like that. Just still
those
things to
ones come
learn.
less though.
Yeah.
Even if you subscribe to them, you don't see them that often.
Yeah.
And that's so every now and then checking in with, okay, where are they pulling me? What am I being led
Yeah.
to? And a lot of the things you'll find you get led to at the moment are fear-based. There's lots of, if that last one didn't terrify the crap
Mm.
out of you, this will. Here, check this out. And it's like you end up with nightmares and unable to sleep and God knows what, right?
Yeah.
But wow, the purpose behind all of that really is the almighty dollar. By and large, those content creators are getting paid,
Hmm.
and you'll click the more they suck you in.
Yeah.
So that's my starting piece. Is like check in with where are you being pulled, where are you being directed, because maybe you don't want to be there.
No,
Maybe
that's a
that's not
good.
your best place.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good place to start because you're going to go through a lot of changes, as you go through your magical practice. And you want to keep the vibes to where you want to, like, you want to follow your own path and you don't want to keep being pulled into negative stuff. Like, you'll lose your sense of how you actually believe things should be because you keep getting a repetition of this person's bad, that person's bad, that group's bad, this group's bad, this thing is terrible, that thing's terrible, you can't trust anyone, everyone's out to get you. And then soon, what's your magic doing? Like,
Right, right. And also another thing to check in with is, are you currently steeped in information, in sources, in, that social media input that you're getting? Does it reflect your values? Does it reflect your principles, or are you getting pulled away from them? Because, if you want to know what your values are, and it's not the usual stuff that people trot
mhm,
out. I value honesty. Do you? Let's pull that one apart, shall we?
right,
Under what circumstances would you not be honest? And there's
right,
bound to be some, and there ought to be some, because sometimes it's not kind to be honest. And maybe you're going to do more damage. So
right,
honesty is like, yeah, it sounds good until you start pulling it apart. And then I'd say it's an it depends kind of situation,
right.
you
Well,
know?
it's like anything else, right? You need the right tool for the job, and it may
Right.
not be the right tool at the time for the job.
But your values are the thing where you put your focus, your money, your attention, and your time. And I know I said focus and attention
Mm,
differently, but one is like, I really want more of this, and I'm looking at it intentionally,
right.
and your attention is what they're snagging right now, what they're
Hmm.
pulling you in by. It's your hook. So your values are the things that you really put your time and money on. Let's start with that. So are you congruent with that? Are you doing the things that work with what you feel your values are? Or have you been lying about your values? Have your values changed if you were in a religion before and now you're not? That's a pretty big move, right? And they have a moral code that they slap you up the head with and tell you, you got to do this, you got to do that, and right down to how you dress, potentially. Um, if you
Mm.
don't have that rule book, I'll bet something shifted. I'll bet something is different for you now. So have you reassessed your values? And are you doing things that are congruent with that?
Oh, on that note, I want to kind of throw in a certain not a caveat, that's the wrong word. A warning, if you will, or yeah, something like that.
Could be caveat.
You,
Anyway, lay
you'll
it on
see
me.
this with a lot of religions, especially the ones that are really close knit. Like with the Amish, right? They have that where they turn a certain age and then they give them a bunch of money and say, okay, go into the world. This to me is a big trap. One, because you're not getting an honest view of the world because you have a bunch of money already saved up, given to you to go live in the world and do what you want, which is not an honest view of the outside world. But secondly, like because a lot of people will go out, they'll have these short prescribed forays into the real world and realize they don't like it, right? But think about that for a minute. What does that mean? You're going out for a short period of time into something totally different than what you're used to.
Uh-huh.
What do you think is at play when that happens? Like,
Well, there's going to be a whole lot of preconceived ideas that kick
right,
in, but also you're bound to choose badly because you don't know how to choose well.
right,
So you launch yourself into the world, you're going to go for all those experiences that your mama would have warned you about and so
right,
on, and you're going to look for all those things. It's not going to be fun because you're not equipped for it.
right.
You're not going in with the right approach, and money will run out, and then
Yes,
it'll be a whole other level of not fun.
right.
So,
And
yeah, that's
then,
designed to pull you back in, right? Oh,
yes,
I'm safer here.
yeah, it's like that. No, go be free. We're not holding you back. It's like, oh no, you're setting the even bigger trap. You're doing the worst form of lying of go do what you want. We're not here to stop you. It's like, oh, you already set up to failure.
Uh-huh. It's clever. It's
Yeah.
very clever. Keeps the system going, and that's what all the religions do, right? Is they have
Mm,
their way of perpetuating their system. A lot ruled by fear.
right.
I mean, my thoughts on Catholicism are
Mm,
fairly well known, but I was told I was going to hell and there was fire and brimstone and everything, and I was
Right.
about four.
Right.
But, the nuns
And
were
again,
not,
not canon.
the nuns didn't like
Yeah.
children very much, and they literally told me that. And I had no idea, first of all, what fire and brimstone was. I knew
Right.
fire, but what's brimstone?
Right.
And I didn't really know anything about hell either. But I knew that they weren't thinking it was a good thing and that I was definitely going there. Why?
Right.
Because I was me. I wasn't Catholic, but I was in a
Yeah.
convent. Thanks, Mom. And appreciate
Yeah.
that. The gift that keeps on giving. Um,
Mm.
but they rule by fear. So how many Catholics will move away from the religion and then they reach a certain age and they're like, well, shit, I might die. What
Yeah.
happens then if everything they told me was true
Hmm.
and I'm going to be stuck in purgatory forever, or I'm going to roast in hell and eek? And so they start getting back into the church, not from, oh, I love everything they teach. This speaks to me. This makes me feel good. No, no, no. It's a security blanket, like just in case I'm going to go to hell if I don't go to church on Sunday. Right? It's a fear thing. They're going to pull
Mm.
you back in from fear.
Yep.
A lot of churches operate that way. They're probably not the only ones, but I'm sure the other religions have their own way of yanking you back in and getting their tithe from you.
Right. I'm gonna offer this up because like it's not like I have documented proof on this one, but there's always this is it the not so secret secret? So like most of the nuns I've ever met have been pretty nice. But there is a string of nuns who didn't become nuns by choice.
Aha.
They were the rebellious daughters who did the wrong thing and besmirched the family reputation and got put into the convent. I don't know how much it happens now, but historically, it was definitely a thing. And I think some of the bitterness towards children is the fact that
Uh-huh.
their own innocence was taken from them, so to speak.
Could be, could be. I mean, this was, for clarity on where my experience was, this was in Australia,
Mm,
and there was one nice nun in the entire convent, and
mm,
I'm not sure she knew why she was there, bless her.
yeah,
She was okay, but the rest of them was just freaking savages in habits. Like, and the Mother Superior, Sister Gemma, I will never
mm,
forget her. She was an absolute bitch, and she was brutal to the kids.
yeah.
So, that what her history was, I don't know, but it shouldn't be a kid's problem.
No, and
And
that's
a
the
lot
thing,
of the
right?
religions, their church leaders, the people who are in charge of looking after the flock, as it were,
Mm,
are often the worst equipped people to do so. They've got an awful lot of baggage and they're happy to throw it at you, and
yeah,
that's not okay,
yeah. It's
gotta
funny.
say.
For a while there, what I would get on my feed for social media would be jokes about all nurses. If you look back at their history, they were the mean girls in high school.
Okay, I was a nurse and I was not a mean girl.
I know that's why I brought it up, but it did for a while show up on my feed because people were trying to say like people who get into caring professions for whatever reason. Because there's a weird thing, right? Like you get people who go into helping professions that you think, oh, these people must be really nice, but then for some reason they made the choice and you don't know why because they're like very mean when they're
Okay, I actually have something to offer there
all right.
because my theory, and
Mm-hmm.
and I see it anecdotally everywhere, like I see examples of this. My theory is that the therapists, the
Mm-hmm.
counselors, the nurses, the people who are helping all have, all is perhaps a big word, even though it's three letters, it's a big word.
Mm-hmm.
But many have trauma, and
Right.
they have childhood trauma where they learned as kids to make sure everybody else around them was okay
Mm-hmm.
so that they would be left alone and they wouldn't be harmed, right? So that person grows up. If it happens, if the stuff that happens to them is early, especially,
Mm-hmm.
then they grow up learning to make sure everybody else is okay and they don't look at themselves. So they don't take care of
Right.
themselves as much as they do the other people. So they end up as the coaches the counselors,
Right.
the therapists, the nurses. That's where they go. And you'll find that that person at the end of the day, one of the questions you can ask is, who looks after you? Who do you
Right.
have? Who do you turn to? And it's a big tell because often that person won't have someone
Right.
to tell you about. And they'll just do the whole, well, I'm okay. No, I don't need anything. I'm fine. And that's the sort of don't look at me, ignore me, leave me alone, safe in my corner. But
Right.
I'm going to be really busy making sure everybody else is okay. And that is where your healers come from.
Right.
So the nurses are often not just nurses, pick a profession that's helping,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Counselors, therapists, social workers, those kind of people. They might it's kind of a paradox because they might not like what they're doing, but they're
Right.
doing it because they're compelled to do it. And they're compelled to do it because they got to make sure the people around them are okay. And if
Right.
they're not busy doing that, somebody might look at them. And you don't want attention if you've had that kind of childhood. You'd rather they didn't look at you. So that's a whole different perspective I'd like to give you. Not the mean girls thing, but perhaps the ones that were bullied.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, because to go on from what you're saying is the one of the reasons, hence we get the title for the episode, right? Turn your gaze inwards, is that if you're helping and it's not really your character, or that's not the right way to word that, but at some point you feel too much pressure and you start to get crushed under it, the weight of it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it is your character because that's what you developed. That's how
Right.
you grew up,
Hmm.
right? So it absolutely is you. Where the problem comes in is the imbalance
Right.
of everything for everybody else and nothing is left over for that person. And I don't know that it's even a martyrdom thing. It's not that. It's just you kind of, with that kind of trauma base, you're just going to put yourself on hold while you make sure that you are safe by keeping everybody else okay.
Right.
You know, you read the room and it's like, oh, that person needs help over here. Oh, whoop, let's have a look at that one. Okay, I got to go here. And you're busy putting out their fires so that their fires don't burn you. And at the end of the day, you've got absolutely fucking nothing left, right? So it's not a martyrdom thing. It's just literally you've spent all your time putting out everybody else's fire.
Right. But that's what I
That
mean.
person,
It's weighing the person down eventually. Because like someone
well,
may
you're
do that because their
exhausted. There's
character
nothing
is
left.
kind, but their
There's
dreams might
nothing
be other
left.
places. Yeah. Well, that's
You
what I
know,
mean. You don't get to pursue who you actually are. Like, yes, you pursue that one aspect of yourself, but you don't get the full life of who you are.
well, you don't get to discover it.
Right.
If you stay in that mode, then you never actually do the inward looking
Right.
because you're too busy putting out everybody else's problems, right?
Yep.
So it's it's not so much a character flaw as a forgetting. You forget that you're in the equation. You forget that you matter.
Mm.
And it's literally all of that stuff, fixing other people's shit, is survival. It's just like, yep, you stay over in your corner. You're good. All right, now let me help you be good and you're okay. And all right, is everybody fine? Great. Maybe I can sleep now.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe. But maybe you remember at 3 o'clock in the morning that you forgot one person and now you gotta have to worry about that person. So, you start there tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's it's such it's an interesting dynamic. And when you're in one of those helping professions, you get, oh, you're such an angel. Like when I was a nurse, I used to get that. You're
Mm.
such an angel. And I'm like, I trust me, I'm not. That's not no, no. Do not, no, no, no. There's no wings on me, and if they are, they're
Mm.
black. Like we're not. Yeah, that wasn't the thing at all. But it was just, something that I needed to do, and I
Right.
recognized that in other people. The other thing that that kind of upbringing does, is it an upbringing? That kind of childhood experience does,
Right.
is it teaches you pattern recognition. I'm really good
Mm.
at rapid pattern recognition. I can see where people are doing behaviors over and over again that are unhelpful to them, that are dysfunctional, and they're so stuck, and I can see it really clearly. Now, that's not actually magic.
No.
It may look like it when I solve
Right.
somebody's problem, but no, it's because you learn to read the room before you can read a book. So you learn to read what's going to happen next, what's coming, where did that go? Okay, what's over
Mhm.
here? And you got like that's your eight legs are on the spider web, and you kind of
Yeah.
anything vibrates, and you know, right? You're there, and you can see where it's going, and that's a whole other aspect of that kind of experience. So it produces a whole array of people who have something in common that none of them are going to share.
Right. You kind of sent me off on a tangent there when you said
No, a
paying
tangent
attention.
on this
I
podcast?
know, right? When you
What?
said the whole thing of, it's just paying attention. It's not magic. It's, reading the room kind of a thing. And it was actually something I was thinking about this morning about, nothing is stopping you in your magical practice from actually reading a book or looking at something or asking people questions instead of trying to zoom in and zone in on whatever is bugging them or whatever their big mysterious question is. You can actually just ask people questions. Nothing is stopping you from using other means of inquiry other than magic. You don't
Oh,
have to pull out a
yeah.
tarot deck. You can actually just talk with someone, or you can read a book, or you can just go out and investigate yourself in your presence.
I think of magic as being, in the context you've just given,
Right,
I think of magic as being more precious than that. You don't
right,
want to squander it left and right.
right,
Like, yeah, absolutely. Ask a question. Don't use magic for that stuff. It's this is a special relationship that you have with
right,
the deity or the spirit world that you're working with. You don't want to squander that stuff like it's freaking table sugar.
right,
You got to do something worthwhile with it. It's special. It's a privilege. It's something that not everybody can or will do. And if you have that relationship with the deity and you've been building it and you've been working on that connection, you don't want to squander that stuff. That's just rude. Like, wow, no,
yeah.
we're on this planet for a reason. Use it.
I was going to say, because part of why magic works for a lot of people and how a lot of people get into magic, it's curiosity.
Oh, yes, curiosity can be a wonderful thing. I've modified that a little because sometimes it can get into a world of trouble.
Well, yes,
I just
but
pulled
it's
another
like,
card. I got to give it to
okay,
you.
all
And
right,
you got to hear it now.
all right.
The card is the blue flame, and the message with it is spontaneous awakening, activation, integration time. You needed that right now. So there you
Yeah,
go. Run with
well,
it.
that was
Run with
part of
it.
my whole yesterday was I traveled yesterday, but I didn't drive. Usually I'm the one who's driving, but it was like, I'm not driving. Well, I allowed the other person to decide they were driving.
I like the way you phrase that.
Well, it's one of the perks of, being aware of more things than the obvious.
Yep.
So as you were driving, like magical stuff was happening while we're having a conversation, and I'm like, okay, I got to integrate stuff. There's stuff that needs integration right now. Actually, going along with the blue flame thing, and it was like I wouldn't be able to drive while this is happening.
Right. Yeah, and knowing that is a very helpful thing.
Mm.
Otherwise, you could end up with a lot of distracted driving,
Oh yeah.
and that's problematic. And you certainly can't explain that one to the cops.
Nope.
Well, I was busy integrating some magical repercussions from something I'd done, and yeah, and they cart you off and lock you up. So
Yeah.
because they don't have any imagination or wider view than a very narrow worldview. So
Yeah. It's yeah. So it was very interesting. So the card actually makes sense because you know I I've been hit over the head enough times to learn to not have expectation of what's happening, right? So I just let the thing be the thing, no matter how weird I thought it was or why it didn't make any sense to me. As long as I just kind of let the flow happen, I'll figure it out from there. If I even have to figure it out. I knew what the whole point was, so it's not like I had to know every little detail of how it was working and why it was working the way it was. Just as long as it felt kosher to me, it was fine, you know?
uh-huh.
So yeah, but there were a few times there where I had my eyes closed for extended periods of time. There, I'm like, that's not good driving on a highway.
No, no, typically that doesn't go well. And how did the integration go?
Uh, well, I had a good long sleep last night. I woke up like an hour before we recorded. I went to bed at midnight and got up at like 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty nice.
I don't know if it's completely, if the integration has completely happened. Hard to really tell. There's just like some finesse stuff happening at the moment.
Well, sometimes integration can also take, you can be integrating stuff
Mm.
2 years later
Yeah.
from something, if you've set in motion something really powerful, um, that can take a while because there's layers to it, right? You think, oh yeah, I got the thing, and then
Mm.
somewhere in the ether there's a laugh because it's like you got a thing, you didn't
Yeah.
get the thing. There isn't a the thing. There's
Right.
lots coming, and we remember that clarity work that I did. What, more than a year ago now?
Yeah.
About a year ago, more or less.
Yeah.
It's still rolling. Like this is
Yeah.
this is the freaking snowball going down the Alps. It's still rolling. It's gathering and it didn't hit the bottom yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm
And
still feeling it. I'm still feeling
oh
it on
yeah,
your behalf. Yeah.
yeah. No, that was a big thing that I set in motion, and I
Mm.
I really opened the parameters for that and said, bring it all, and I really need to stop being so cocky. It's like that was a lot, and it's a lot that's still coming, and I can't close the door at this point. It's just gonna be what it is.
Yeah. My
It'll keep
integration
coming.
kind of went, the big chunk of it went really fast. I was actually really surprised. I thought like this is going to take like a week, a few months, and then it was like the next day. I'm like, oh, let's kind of do a status check. Where are we? And then I kind of got in my head like we're like 75%. I'm like 75%. How the hell did we do it this fast? But I think the nuance stuff is going to take longer to kind of like
Yes.
to deal with the integration after the. I don't want to say consequences because that sounds like you did something wrong and now there's consequences.
No, no,
But
no.
the
Consequences
yeah,
are the natural occurrence that follow an
right,
event.
all right. Well, there. I think it's
People
the
may
consequences that are going to
interpret
take
it
more.
people may interpret it
Yeah,
negatively, but it's not. Consequences are
right,
just what happens. If you have a headache and you take Tylenol and your headache goes away, the consequence of you taking Tylenol is your headache went away.
right,
So it's not usually how we phrase it, but that is
right.
literally what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I use the term consequentially all the time without having any negative connotations to it.
Right.
But yeah,
People are changing the language right now at a rapid pace of knots, and I don't like all of
yes.
it because they're trashing some really good words.
You know,
Uh, yeah.
this ties in with what actually you said earlier in the podcast. I was going to mention it then, but the flow wasn't giving me an opportunity. But I saw a video today. This mother is sharing a song with her daughter. So, like a Gen X woman and a Gen Z daughter. And it's the song Hot Child in the City.
Uh-huh.
Well, the daughter is just like, even by the title, she's like, I don't even want to look it up. I'm going to be on an FBI list. I'm going to be, you know. And then the mother finally starts playing the song for her, and the girl's just freaking out, like the lyrics and stuff. And it's like the mom's just laughing, right? And I'm like, yeah, because calling someone a child doesn't mean you're literally talking about a child. But in this case, I
Right.
do believe the song is about a runaway, and I'm pretty sure the song is not okay, right. So it ties into the language being used in the song, right? Because child, girl, and then boy, because part of it is the boys are looking for you, right? It's not completely implying like an 11-year-old, but more, I would argue, even more maybe a runaway of 16 or older, or even maybe even someone who's 18, 19. But the daughter is just like freaking out over the song, right? And it's like, listen, the song doesn't mean exactly what you think it means. It is talking about, being young and being in the city and being vulnerable and all that kind of stuff. It's not a song that's glorifying this. It's actually kind of a warning. The song, if I remember correctly, it's not saying this is awesome. You know,
Well, the other thing is it might be meaning that, but we're in different times.
right?
And stuff that was acceptable in the 70s isn't acceptable now. 80s, same. 90s,
Right.
same. You know, it we are changing, and we're changing on some levels and not on others.
Right.
And so what's acceptable for you to say, again, it's the change of
Hmm.
using words and what you can do with them and what you're allowed to mean with
Right.
them. It's all a question of what is currently acceptable. And that itself is changing fairly rapidly,
Yeah.
particularly in the US with different factions, right?
Yeah.
You've got on the left, there's a certain vocabulary, and on the right, there's a whole other one.
Mm.
And soon you'll be able to tell who's who just by listening to how they speak.
Mm.
How fascinating is that? In such a
Yeah.
short space of time, right? It's pretty wild. But people take good words and trash them,
Yeah.
and that pisses me off. So you've got words like authentic.
Mm.
Be authentic, be yourself. And what the person's actually saying isn't that at all. What they're saying is you go and like be visible, but agree with us,
Right.
agree with the herd, right? And when you don't, oh, then cancel culture kicks in, right? Then you're going to get a whole lot of this person's going to be blacklisted and
Mm.
what have you. I saw an example the other day of an author who I don't know why she decided to do this. I really don't. But she posted a whole lot of bad talk about a genre of writing,
Right.
which is romantasy. So this is romance and
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
fantasy blend. And it's mostly written by women for women, and there's a
Hmm.
bloody good reason for it, right? And if you like to read that, then cool. And if you don't read it.
Right.
Very simple. But no, she had to go on a rant and be really, really rude about it. Now, dumb move, really, because it wasn't necessary.
Right.
But what followed were huge repercussions. And this person lost their contract with their publisher. They lost a book signing that they'd got lined up. They are now wrecked as an author because of
Right.
one social media post. And of course, she went and doubled down on it and basically told
Yeah.
everybody, fuck you, and all the rest of
Mm.
it. But here's the thing, she was being authentic.
Yeah.
You might not have liked her authenticity, but she was being authentic. And what
Yes.
happened was she got cancelled for it. Her career as an author is in the toilet because she said something that other writers took exception to and that, readers didn't like, but mostly it was
Yeah.
other writers that didn't like that. And so she got othered and she got cancelled.
Hmm.
Now, she didn't sound like a very nice person, but you can't cancel people for not being nice people.
Right.
Otherwise, most of the planet would currently be cancelled. But
Yeah.
she epitomized authenticity in that moment, right? She was saying all the stuff that people didn't like, and she was standing by it, by crikey.
Hmm.
And, you couldn't shake her from her stance.
Right.
And for that, she got cancelled. So when people use the word authenticity and they don't mean it, I find it really aggravating. It's just used as a buzzword, and there's other
Right.
words we get as well, but another one, in fact, I commented on someone's Substack post today about the
Right.
word opportunity.
Mm.
Opportunity is used as a stick to beat you with. It's language that's used instead of you cocked that up.
Mm.
Oh, that was a mistake. Oh, here's an opportunity for growth for you. And you know what they're saying,
Yeah.
right? It's one of those, let's polish a turd. Let's
Mm.
just cover this thing in sugar and make it look good. But it's
Right.
still shit, right? And so now you start to get a response to a word that used to be nice. Opportunity
Yeah.
used to be like, oh yeah, here's something great. And now it's used for
Yeah.
something that you're being criticized for, essentially. So
Yeah.
we're messing with words. And when it comes to spells, be very conscious of that because
Mm.
don't use the wrong word or use the word in the right way for what you're intending.
Right.
You know, language is being messed with as we speak, literally, no pun intended. And and you got to watch what you're using because words are spells.
Hmm.
That's my whole
Yeah.
thing on that.
No, it's very true. Words changing their meanings. But the thing is, sometimes words, like when you look at it, right, because using your example of you have an opportunity, the first person to utter it had very sincere beliefs that, yes, this is an opportunity for you to learn something. And then, of course, it got abused until, you know.
It gets put in every office
Mhm.
email when they're telling you, you're not doing very well at your job.
Right.
They couch it in, the shit sandwich, right?
Yeah.
Where, oh, you did this thing great, this was terrible, that was great, that kind of thing. But then they use language like, I see a growth opportunity for you in this
Mhm.
area. And it's like,
Yeah.
why don't you take it, shove it where the sun don't shine? Because what they're telling you is not what they're telling you. And I hate that. It
Right.
kind of bothers me when people pretend otherwise. It's like when they smile at you and you know that they've just done something really bad that's going to affect you,
Yeah.
the HR smiles when you walk in and
Mm.
they're about to fire you, that kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just there's a lot of falsehood with it right now. A lot of
Yeah.
language is used falsely,
Yes.
and it clouds when people are using it correctly.
Right. Yes, that is a big thing because if you're using the word correctly, like I'm not a grammar Nazi, but I do like when people use words correctly. I like precision of communication. Although I will mess with language all the time, I do like precision of communication when I'm actually trying to have a serious discussion.
Well, if you mess with the words, how does the recipient of what you're telling
Right.
them know what you're saying? Which is why, or at least it's one of the reasons why, whenever I mention the patriarchy, for example, I will
Mm.
stop the conversation and
Mm.
say, okay, now I need you to understand what I mean by that.
Right.
Because some people will have an automatic interpretation, oh, she hates men. No, 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 I totally don't. That's not the point at all. It's the system that everybody's been
Mm.
operating under and the illusion of that system that this is how things have to be. And the division that the system has put between men and women. I'm against all of that.
Mm.
That is what I mean by patriarchy. But every time I have it in a conversation, I have to stop and say, okay, you need to understand this when I'm talking, because otherwise they go totally off on the wrong direction and think, oh, she's a misandrist, she hates men. It's like that's so pointless and so not me, and just now you're not understanding anything I've said because the lens you're looking through is so clouded with shit you can't see straight.
Right.
And anything I say, if I don't clarify that first piece, is going to be misunderstood and the language will be taken wrongly. So it's important that you're clear when you're saying something, whether it's in communication with another person or in
Right.
communication with the spirit world, or you're incanting, or you have a spell, you're doing a journey, like whatever it is you're working on, precision. It's not a perfection thing, it's a accuracy thing.
Right.
You want precision so that you end up where you want to go, you know?
Right. Well, and I've said this on the podcast before, right? Like you're using the word sex and gender. Like I grew up with them meaning the same thing, right? And then all of a
Right.
sudden it's like the word gender got taken out of sex. Okay, well, to me then gender becomes a useless word. Like really, it's like, okay, this is how you want to present, but that doesn't help me when I'm trying to figure out, what medicine to give you, what to do for you. Like, like on a medical level, what do I do for you? Because you can identify as a woman, but you still have male hormones and you still have male structures. So I can't treat you like a woman when it comes to medically, that kind of thing. I'm using that as an example because it's the easiest one to bring up. But it's like, but I'm fine with the words being separated. I just need to understand what goes with gender and what goes with sex and does it make sense? And then that's fine. And I'll use the word however the new way of using it is,
Right.
as long as it makes sense and it's not just used to confuse the situation.
Right. And that's where we are with language at the moment. It's so difficult because it's getting messed with.
Right.
And
Well, it's intentional, right? Like I said, I've never watched an interview with someone with a master's degree in gender studies where they don't intentionally blur the lines to get their point across.
hmm, interesting.
Now, there might be some other, I haven't seen every interview, so I can't say that that's common. I'm just saying the ones I end up seeing is always like, why are you changing the wording? Why are you skipping your wording and your meanings in the conversation because every time you use the word this way, you start to fail. So you switch and you make it this. Like, quit doing that because it's not helping. Because I'll use your words, but I need them to be consistent and have consistent ideas with them.
So you were listening to them with a different level
Right,
of attention. You're actually trying to decipher what they're saying
right,
rather than listening for keywords to pick out and
yeah,
jump on, which is how
right,
most people listen these days. Is you can be talking and they'll pick out two things you said and run with it. And you're like, okay, context isn't always important.
right.
Sometimes an event stands on its own. But if
Yes,
you're having a conversation with somebody, you do kind of need to pay attention to where they're going with what they're saying. Otherwise, you can run in the wrong direction.
right.
Again, back to me talking about
Mhm.
patriarchy. You got to be clear on what that means. And I don't have another word for that system because that is what that system is. I
Right.
don't have different language for it. So I have to work with what we've got, which is
Yeah.
why I define it. Um, because I want that clarity.
Yes.
I want it to be clear this is what I'm talking about. That the summit that I'm currently working on,
Mm,
there will be at least one, hopefully three men in the summit
mm,
who are bringing their perspectives forward in a helpful
right.
way. It's not a token thing.
Mm,
It's literally like I want their voices. It's just I can't find that many, right? There'd be more if I found more.
right.
But it's a little hard to do at the moment. So maybe future summits will have more. Depends on what
Right.
the topics will be. I think the next summit might be sloth.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of feeling that because
Mm,
we have a very messed up approach
yeah.
to downtime, to
Right.
taking a break or having a rest. And, go running off on that tangent for a second, my personal belief is that laziness does not exist. It's not a
Right.
true thing. It's an artificial construct to beat people with,
Mm,
right? If you're not doing something, it's either because you need rest, it's because that thing is not good for you to do, like you're
right.
not simpatico with it, or, there's some other thing in there, like procrastination. When we have procrastination, or what I often like to call procrastination, because we're usually
Yes.
busy doing other things, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the thing that you're supposed to do. There's a reason for that. There's a point. It's not laziness. You're very busy doing other things, furiously trying not to do that thing. But if you stop and look at why, you'll have some solutions. You'll be able to work forwards with that. There's no laziness involved in this. Laziness does not exist. If that person needs to rest, then they need to rest. That's it.
Right. That's,
It's not
yeah.
something you earn.
Uh, it is weird that you have to earn rest, that concept.
It's a very messed up concept. And again, it's part of that system, that lovely patriarchy
Mm,
system that I would like to dismantle
mm,
brick by brick. It's the whole thing of keep working, do more, do harder. When I was a stay-at-home mom for a
mm,
while, which in itself is a really lousy description of what you do.
mm,
But when I was raising my children and not farming them out to daycare, I
right.
would literally have people say to me, we'd be at a party or something, and I'd get, "Oh, and what do you do?" And I'd say, "Well, I have these two kids." And right away, that person's
Mm,
face glazes over and they're looking for somebody more interesting and more
mm.
important. And why? Because
Yeah.
they think I have no value
Right. It's
because
an
of
interesting,
how I'm spending my day.
yeah. It's well, I say interesting concept for lack of a better word, but there is something that between generations, something got really lost. Like, and I don't know if I'm equipped to tackle the whole topic here, but I'll start with this idea. It was always a partnership. If you're the breadwinner, your money is your and your partner's money because your partner is taking care of business in your domestic life, so you don't have to do it, so you can earn money. So this person is also working. Like it's not like a complicated concept. Poor Michaela's dogs are getting to her. So we took a fun break there from Michaela.
I am being plagued by an unwell dog
Mm,
who is let's just say my favorite not utility, what is it? My favorite piece of equipment,
right,
appliance in this
right.
house right now is the carpet cleaner.
Yes.
I love that carpet cleaner. We'd have bare floors without it. But anyway,
Yeah.
here we are, back again.
Yeah. I don't remember what I was talking about, but it doesn't matter. And it'll come back or it won't. But we were talking about, you know, using vocabulary and words and precision of language and that kind of thing and meaning of what you actually say and trying to be clear in your conversations. Because it's true, like I like joking around and using words and stuff, you know, and playing with them and that. But yeah, but in an actual genuine conversation where I'm trying to accomplish something, yes, you know, precision of language, absolutely. And I think where I was going to be heading, because I know it was sitting in my mind and it came back, was that use of language improperly is intentional. It's meant to stoke the division. It's meant to cause in its I don't know if you can call this innocent. In its most innocent, it's made to keep awareness up and social consciousness on a subject. Because if nothing else, when you're fighting, you're aware of things and you pay attention, right? The negative.
Or do you? Do you? Because you
Well, there
get
is that.
distracted by the fight, right?
Yeah.
You get distracted by the thing. That's how division works very often is, ooh, look at that group. They're bad people. Let's all
Mhm.
pile on, you know. Right now, Jews are
I was gonna say that,
just
and
being
that's what's going to
attacked all over the
happen
world.
is going to be people jumping on things. And if you're well intentioned, that's what I'm trying to get at. If you're well intentioned, be precise with your language whenever you're having a serious conversation, because you don't want that happening. You don't want to be about to
Right.
fight.
And you don't want to be, at least, okay, let me put it
Mm.
this way. Hopefully, you don't want to be the person who piles on
Right,
simply because everybody else is.
right,
Like that is lowest common denominator thinking, if it's thinking at all. It's
yeah,
like a knee-jerk reaction. It's that low level of let me be in with the in crowd. It does not make you a better person. It does not set you up for developing or living with values that are worth having.
right.
Where are your values if you're one of those people jumping on the pile, right? If you are, like, let's talk US, seeing as that's where I am right
Mm.
now. If you're talking politically, for example, so you're on the left and you're screaming at the right, and you're telling them all the things they did wrong. The list is long. The list is mighty.
Mhm.
You can really go there. And what did you help? Because you already believe all of that, and they
Mhm.
can't hear you.
Right.
So what was the point? What changed? Likewise, the right,
Hmm.
hurling abuse at the left. Okay, you already believe all those things, and the left don't care.
Right.
So, what was the point? All of this is just making the division more solid, making the division more palpable. And then you get some bright spark who pops up and says, hey, let's stop having this division and let's have a conversation. And both sides pile on,
Right.
right? Because they don't want that right now. Both are angry with the other, and they are in that fight because it's being fueled. It's being fueled by bots on social media.
Right.
It's being fueled by each side itself. It's like a self-building fire, if you will. You know, it's kind of
Yep.
it's feeding on itself. It's consuming itself.
Yep.
It's really not helping because important stuff is getting missed. People are not paying attention to
Yep.
things that are happening that are like, okay, that's a massive red flag and that's an issue, and we need to not
Hmm.
allow this. And meanwhile, there's a big punch up going on and they're missing everything, which is the
Yep.
point. That's why it's
That's right.
happening that way. And when you have men sort of feeling superior to women. Maybe they think that they have a right to slap their wife and that kind of stuff. I've seen this in social media because that's where my algorithm goes sometimes.
Mm.
Okay, how is that helpful? And women see this and then they're like, see, that's the problem. Well, yes, it is, but it, this conversation is not helping right now.
Mm.
We're not moving forward. And I saw this whole thing the other day on going back to magic, which is what we're here for.
Mhm.
A
Yeah.
guy posted, I kind of considered his post for a minute, the original post, but he posted, "Oh, feel bad for me because I'm a guy and I really want to be a witch, but I can't be a witch because I'm a guy."
Right.
And I read that and I thought, okay, well, that's a really surface level, hey girls, tell me I'm
Right.
a nice guy kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
Like he was looking for give me the
Mhm.
attention. And he got it. He got it in
Right.
spades, right? But some were saying, well, you could be a warlock. And I thought, that's interesting. You have no idea what you're talking about, do you? You
So
are
you guess you
not,
know Breaker?
right? Like you could be a warlock. And I'm like, okay, so this is a group or these people are claiming to be practitioners of
Right.
magic. That person clearly does not know of what they speak because what they just said was actually really rude and
Yes.
unhelpful and
Right.
unhelpful. And then, and you had people coming up with different opinions on it. And I was just scanning down the comments out of
Mhm.
curiosity. And it was interesting to see how many were telling him, no, you can't because it's only women. And I'm like, I don't know which orifice you pulled that out of, but it doesn't make sense. Why? That's like saying only men can be engineers.
Yeah.
Why? It doesn't make sense. There's absolutely no reason a man cannot practice magic as well as a
Mhm.
woman can. And again, language, why does it have to be a different word?
Right. This ties back to what I said. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, where I said, I think it was last week, uh, when people talk about elves and dwarves and all that kind of stuff and acting like they're flesh and blood creatures, it's like they were never, originally, they weren't conceived as flesh and blood creatures. They were spiritual beings and didn't have a physical manifestation. But yet somehow over time, it turned into they have a physical manifestation. And it's like, but I, as a kid, knew this from reading history of stuff that was the same. And it was the same thing with witches. I never assumed a witch was a woman, just purely a woman. That only came later on in my life, actually into my adulthood, where it started to be more prominent in fiction and stuff like that. And then
Well, I think
warlock being used interchangeable for, yeah. And I'm like,
Disney
but
has a lot to do with it.
and that's why that conversation thread where they're telling him, well, you can be this, you can be that. It's like it was never, he couldn't be a witch. That was never a thing. That's, yes, you have people on social media, you have people in entertainment. But if you're in the practice, that was never a thing. Why do you, yeah, like,
It's not a question,
yeah,
and it's also not something somebody else can answer,
right,
right? Which is the whole point of what we do is nobody gets to tell you how you do your practice or how you view yourself in your practice. So the whole post was like, first of all, you,
mm,
sir, with your post are being
right,
inauthentic in the extreme, right?
mm,
Like that was so obvious what he was doing.
yeah,
It was sort of a hey, do I pull chicks this way kind of version online, right? And
mhm,
then people who felt like they ought to have an opinion on the subject were jumping in with it. It's like, but you can't tell somebody else what their magical practice is. You can't tell them if they're valid or not. You have no idea. How can you tell them? Like, it's not your business to tell them. That's something that's a hangover from, are you
mm,
a good member of your church?
right,
Or, you can have those kind of opinions be considered if you're following a rule book. But we don't have one of those. So it's like the whole thing was just, uh, oh my God, that dog's just done it again.
oh yeah,
Yep, I'm
oh,
gonna have to
cool.
hit pause.
All right. The joys of pet ownership.
I'm having a very interesting day with this dog right now. Yes. So notice how we keep coming back to the podcast though, no matter what.
Yeah,
Um, because we have stuff to say.
yeah.
And I pulled another card.
Oh, okay,
So
cool. Let's see
let's
what it
go
is.
with that.
All right.
Interesting given all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Trust the timing. Trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out.
That's a very important lesson.
It's exactly what people are not saying right now, isn't it?
Well, and it's key, right? Because every time we try to self-improve, every time we try to make things right, we're always, oh my God, am I going to make it on time? Am I going to do it in a timely fashion? Like, well, not in the time, but am I going to do it on time? I'm taking too long. Oh my God, this is going to never come to because I'm taking too much time to do it.
We're in the land of instant fixes,
Yeah.
right? Everything is, one of the biggest problems that people face is they keep trying to buy into the instant fix of something. And it's nothing has an instant fix. Problems or issues
Mm.
or
Opportunities.
growth, growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to use the word opportunities, but
Yeah.
growth, none of these happen overnight.
No.
So an instant fix isn't going to do it for you. And if it does, having just said it doesn't, if it does, at least in the beginning, you have a price to pay.
Yeah.
So, for example, with the GLP-1 medications
Hmm.
that people take, okay, yeah, you're going to get your quick fix. You are going to lose weight rapidly, and you will also have repercussions. There are things like your hair starts to fall out, which for women particularly is a problem. Um, because it's not acceptable for women to not have hair on their head, whereas guys can do that with no problem. The other thing is it messes up your digestive system big time. Well, that is
Mm.
kind of big thing that keeps you alive, so you might not want to screw with it.
Yeah.
Um, it messes with the nutrition that your body's able to absorb. So now the way you keep yourself alive by, eating as well as
Mm.
breathing and drinking, um, it's not working right for you. But hey, you look better. Although, do you? Because now your muscle
Yeah.
is disappearing, so you get that GLP-1 face, right?
Yeah.
The saggy face. I have a friend who she used to be quite large, and I don't know, in my opinion, it suited her. It
Mm.
went with her personality. She had a very large personality, and she's very, bubbly and all the rest of it. Then she went on this GLP-1 thing, and she looks 10 years older. She's skinny, yeah. I
Right.
don't know what she looks like without her clothes. I haven't looked, but she's skinny.
Yeah.
However, I don't think it's a good skinny. It's like she's disappearing, and I think she's losing sight of where she intended to be. And I'm a
Right.
little worried that now there's too little of her,
Mm.
and she's on this kick, but it's not a good thing. It's not helpful. So that's the instant fix.
Yeah.
It sucks you in, and there is a price to pay. Like whatever kind of, when people talk about baneful magic, be sure you're using it appropriately because if you don't, there is a price to pay.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't dream of telling somebody how
Or
to
there's
do it.
consequences.
And there's always consequences,
Consequences.
right? Um, but if you're dabbling in
Mm.
something with unclear or malintent, then I'd go further than consequences and say
Mm.
there's a price to pay for that.
Mm.
So it's not a threefold rule thing. It's just
No.
literally FAFO, right? Like,
Well, yeah, because I mean, we've said this on the podcast before, right? Look at what you want to do and look at what spirits you think are going to show up to help you with that.
right. And who else are you letting in?
Yeah.
Because you don't get just what you focus on. Like or you might not, depending on how prepared you are. And,
Right.
do you do a purification ritual before you start your magic? If you don't, you might wanna. Do you cleanse your energy at the end? Do you send back anything that hitchhiked
Mm.
with you energetically? Do you send them home? Right? Like you need to do these things. It's not just, hey, I'm going to go dancing over here and then I'm going to leave it be because you just opened a freaking portal to something. You just opened a door. Like if you're at home, are you going to leave your door open? I don't mean unlocked. I mean wide
Mm.
open. Like, are
Right.
you gonna? You'll end up with raccoons and God knows what in your house.
Right.
So no, you cute though they are out there, you don't want them inside, right? So it's like you need to know when to close the door.
Yep.
Those kind of things are important. And not everybody slows down long enough to do that because they want to do the instant thing.
Right. All right. I lost my thread.
Did you? It'll float back.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole, you know, again, the title drop there of, turning your gaze in on itself is it's really important for all this stuff. Like you're literally living in a sea of misinformation and malinformation. Actually, not just wrongly given information, but information with intent to mislead you or to incite something. So it is important whenever you react to it to see why you're reacting and what you're reacting to. Because,
Introspection would help,
right.
or at least slowing down long enough to pay attention. How about that?
Yeah. Like, because, you look at what you intend, and we're not here to tell you what to intend. That's not the point of the podcast, because who knows where your intentions will bring you,
No, I wouldn't dream of it.
right? But if you look at what you intend and what information you're allowing in or what you're allowing to come in, and you're not really paying attention to it, is it getting you to where you want to go? Like, well, right? Like I said, right? I've mentioned it last episode. We discussed it, right? The idea of witches being only for women. Well, what are you trying to accomplish when you say that?
And again, it doesn't come from a good space, because witches being women, that was a big part of the witch hunt, right? Like that was a big part, a big focus of the witch hunt was woman, making medicines or healing people when the church want to be paid to do their praying and all that kind of stuff. Or just this woman said no to me. She's a witch.
Mm.
It was a convenient way of getting rid of a whole heap of women and some men. But the whole thing of witches and women was a big part of the process, if you like, to get rid of a chunk of people they didn't want around.
Mm.
Let's just make the rest of them afraid. Right? If you're doing a witch hunt, then women really don't want to be seen to be smart or wise or capable because, God forbid, or even attractive, right? Like, no, all of these things are dangerous. So it was a great way to sort of pin down, lower, reduce that group of society. And it kind of stuck around. Disney perpetuated it with, the witches are always women. You
Mm.
don't see a male witch ever, right? And you have the good witch and the bad witch, and let's do the
Mm.
division thing again. And let's
Yeah.
go on a witch hunt. And it's like, oh, could we not? And, I've heard it said recently that witch hunt is coming again. And in the US, it probably is because
Right.
they're picking on, trans people right now. Wow.
Mhm.
It is savage what they are doing in this country. And the different states are passing things and then spreading it onto the other red
Mm.
states typically. But they're going to have they are removing the need for, I forget how it was worded now, but essentially you don't have to have a particular reason to institutionalize someone. You can just say that person's nuts, they need to be institutionalized.
Mm.
And it's kind of paving the way for this is a trans thing that they're
Well,
doing,
I was going to
right?
say you always have to watch what laws are being passed and just how loosely it's worded.
Oh, these are being very loosely worded, but you know where it's aimed. And it's
Right.
it's aimed at people on the left who are going to be
Mm.
accused of Trump derangement syndrome,
Right.
which is a whole podcast episode in itself.
Right.
It's going to be trans people hugely. Witches will probably be in there because,
Mm.
the evangelical people don't tend to like the
Right.
idea of witches very much. Not that they would know one if they met one. Um, but yeah, there are sections of society that are being lined up for a whole lot
Right.
of trouble right now. So the witch hunt will literally. I saw somebody the other day, somebody from a politician from California,
Right.
saying the problems in California are because of witchcraft.
Mm.
I mean, I actually saw this guy saying it, and he said it with a straight face, and I'm like, what? I don't even know where to begin on that one. But
Right.
somebody's going to be believing this dude.
Well, because this has been actually for the last few years now, I've been noticing it because of how tight the Republican Party is with religion. You'll
Uh-huh.
see politicians talking at churches, and they'll
Yes.
talk about that because I've seen now a few videos. Well, I say a few. I've seen a lot of videos on politicians talking in churches and talking about witchcraft and how these
Right.
people either tried to hex them or whatever, and how they have to vanquish the witches. And it's like, when you're a politician, what are you doing speaking in a church? That's the first one. Any church that has a politician speak there should lose their tax exempt status right away, because one
100%.
of the whole points is that you stay out of those things is part of it.
It certainly was. Yes.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, in the States, I'm not trying to cast doom and gloom there, but it's like you really got to pay attention to the people you're putting in office. Like,
Oh no, it is doom and gloom here,
yeah,
actually. No,
I'm
it,
just saying
it
I'm not trying
really
to do
is.
it, but yeah,
It's bad. The
yeah,
situation here is bad, and in the next couple of years, I think we're going to see some unprecedented
yeah.
moves as things crumble beyond recognition. And as you see in any dystopian
Mm,
story, you end up with warring factions, right?
right.
Fighting over the carcass of what's left of the country.
Hmm.
Yeah, a couple of years we'll be there. It's going to be pretty rough for everybody that's still here.
Yeah,
That's going to be a thing. So yeah, we have to figure out where we're going to be, how we're going to handle it, and I think being prepared for it coming from a direction you're not expecting is probably
mm.
important because
Oh,
again,
yes,
we're all being distracted by look over here. So what's happening where we're not looking?
right. This is actually, you know what? This just came to me. This is where it's important to be as absolutely genuine as you can be right now with the people around you, because you don't want people with misunderstandings about you come blindsiding you. Like, not seeing
Right.
where it's coming from, but being blindsided by the people, worse with the people with the best intentions or supposedly the best intentions for you.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing a lot of surprises with where things are coming from, and
Mm.
you sort of wait, but what? Like that wasn't something I expected from that person, or why are they picking on this group of people? Like, I am utterly mystified
Mm.
as to why the focus is on trans people right now. Like, if
Right,
ever there was a group of people who does not need anybody's shit, it is them.
right.
Because if you are in the wrong body and you are trying to make that correct for you, right? You're trying to feel good in your skin.
Hmm.
You got enough work to do without
Right.
somebody throwing a whole load of crap at you and telling you you're mentally ill or you're wrong or you need to be, institutionalized and stuff like, no, 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 no. Why? This isn't a big group of people. This isn't somebody who's a
No.
threat to
Right.
anyone. But it's a cause to get behind one way or the other.
Hmm.
Either you're going to be in support of people who are trans, or you're going to be supporting all kinds of abuse of said people. None of
Hmm.
it makes sense. But what are they distracting from, apart from the Epstein files, which
Yeah.
obviously is something they're distracting from? But what else is it? Because so far nobody does a damn thing about anything in the States. We know several people who are in the Epstein files, and absolutely nothing has happened to them.
Right.
So I'm not sure I buy fully that there's a fear of the Epstein files being released. I don't think they give
No,
a
I
shit.
don't either.
It's something else. It's bigger than that. God forbid that it would be bigger than that, but it must be bigger than that because it's out there. So what else is it?
Well, I was going to say, if you look at who's in charge, and I would argue anyone in charge who has this information and they're in the list, is not going to be a trustworthy administration to begin with. But the fact that they're in there and it's released, and yet they're still doing all these other basically circumventing the normal rules anyways with the other things they want to do. Why are these files being released? Because they feel compelled to somehow by legal standing? Like, what sense does that make? Because they're violating all the rest of the legal standing. So why is this different?
And they're not releasing anything that's being acted on.
Right.
They're not releasing anything significant in any way, shape, or form. And the key there is it's not being acted on. But the other point that I think many people are missing is
Mm.
we have so much testimony. We
Right.
have so much testimony from women and some men who were abused under Epstein's environment, shall we say, that why is the testimony not sufficient to move forward? Why are we all focused on this guy's documentation of
Mm.
everything? Sicko that he would document it, let alone all the things
Well,
that he
think
did.
about, I'm going
But
to offer this, not to cut you off, I'm going to offer this. There are, what is it, millions of files at this point?
mhm.
To go through this in a very legal, accurate capacity to make it stand up in court, that's going to take a long time.
Oh yeah.
And so sometimes you hide in plain sight because it's just easier.
Yeah. And it's working because, people talk about it, but nothing happens.
Like
You
cases of
discover
abuse,
people in
yeah,
it, nothing happens.
right. Because I would say
And
cases of abuse are always difficult to prove because it may not
except
seem like
not in
this in the
this
world.
case. There's documentation and there's
Right,
video evidence of quite a lot.
right.
So
So people are right now, like, I kind of half see it because I've listened to some people talk, and it's half a game for people where they can just go and check the list and go, oh, look, so and so is on this list, and then go through and make jokes and whatever. And it's like, that's a big distraction because now you're going through the list and you feel like you have power, right? How does that go when you
and
hear
they
someone
don't.
talk about something? I've heard it referred to as the lone voice of dissent. When someone dissents, people automatically think something's being done. So really, you can almost, if you're the person who's being charged or being accused of stuff, you can just hire someone to talk smack about you, and people will think something's happening. Especially in this age, with social media, perception is everything. So if you hear like 30 news sources saying, "Oh my God, the Epstein files is going to be punishment," you will then go, and the dopamine will come in, and you'll be like, "Oh, okay, something's being done," when nothing's being done. You just have the perception that there might be
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely nothing is being done, nor will it.
Hmm.
That's the thing. And so how many places are we being distracted from?
Right,
How many things are bigger than we're aware of? And, we don't get to see them. And I think this is speaking to the introspection that we were talking about in the beginning. Is like you got to really stop and look, where am I being distracted? Where am I being sucked in? And what are they trying to make me feel? Because when you're all up in your feels, when you're all in your emotions, then are you acting in a way that you would do if you thought about it? Are
right,
are you acting in a way that is useful? Because, yes, emotions tell you a lot, but if somebody else is provoking those, now
right,
they're in control, and that's not a good thing, right?
right,
So where are you in control of that? I was talking to somebody yesterday about their money stories.
right,
And at the moment, that person has a lot of issues with overspending. Well, that means money is in control of them, right? They do not have control over that. And so the person was sort of saying, well, this this person's got to learn how to handle it, and so they'll go broke and then they'll learn. And it's like, no, that's absolutely not how that works.
right,
For some reason, you just want them to suffer, but you're not going to help them with that attitude. It's no, you are being controlled by it, just like we're being controlled by social media
right.
telling us how to feel and pulling us in that direction.
Hmm.
So, religions, they're all doing it too. This is what's right. If you don't agree with us, you're wrong. And
Right.
worse than that, you're going to hell. And some, bizarrely, want you to have a miserable time on the planet now so that you can enjoy life when you're dead. I've always wondered about that one. It's a bit odd, right? Like have a miserable time now so that you can have a better time later.
Right. Well, like when you know, these are a lot of things I've thought about growing up when I was a kid, and especially when you start like when your natural inclination is towards magic and that whole realm, you really start to see bigger pictures, and then you start to look back on the things you were taught when you were a kid, and you're like, how did that make any sense? That's like Santa Claus. Like, it's like it made like actually Santa Claus question is more complex than that, but you can actually come up with all kinds of. But anyway, the idea that okay, you live for like 80 years, you die, and then eternity you have whatever your reward or punishment is. Like, what sense does that make? 80 years is going to decide how you spend the rest of an infinite amount of time.
Uh-huh.
Like, what sense does that make?
None. I mean, absolutely none. And the thought that one lifetime is going to dictate forever,
Hmm.
right? Like, okay, so you're a complete shitbag in one lifetime. No chance of doing better things? No chance of redeeming yourself in any way?
Nope. And
How can anybody, for me, the question is, how can anybody believe a being would create this and call it good,
right,
and then you call them merciful?
right,
What? If that's not one massive ego trip, I don't know what is, but why would you create something that is flawed and essentially doomed to failure if perfection is the goal? Then what's that about? Like, what's the whole point? And then you're going to say, okay, you believed, so you go over there, and you didn't, so you go over there. Like, that does not make sense to me. Never has. I doubt that it ever will. I just can't see an angle where it makes sense. And yet, how many people believe that? So the human capacity to take complete and utter bullshit on board is never ending. It's mind blowing to me. And I have another
right.
card that I think is
Yeah,
really
right.
apropos right now. Cracked open, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. I'm enjoying these cards. They're hilarious.
That's actually a good one though, the alchemy of life. Because it's
Uh-huh.
true. Life has its way of performing alchemy on you, whether you see it coming, whether you decide upon it, or
It does. It does. And sometimes we fool ourselves that we're in control.
yeah,
That's the biggest joke of all. What exactly would you be in control of? If you can master yourself, then you've made massive strides that most of the human population never will make.
right.
Controlling anything outside of that, it's a joke.
Well, and that's one of the big secrets. When you get self-mastery, and even as you go into that journey, because I'm not arguing like I have self-mastery here, but the more I go towards self-mastery, the less I care about controlling what's happening outside.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree,
Mm,
and I too would not dream of claiming that I've reached that stage of enlightenment or anything, but I am aware that you don't actually control anything,
right.
and the more I accept that, the less I'm interested to even try. Like it doesn't matter. You see other people doing their thing. This is where this whole othering
Hmm.
is is sort of a question like, can you see yourself? Do you see what you're doing?
Right.
Why? Why are you doing this? You have, as far as we know, one life on this planet, and that's what you're doing with it? Right? Is that your best option? That's it? That's what you got? Could you maybe raise your standards?
Yeah.
Like seriously, do something better than that that doesn't involve flogging yourself to death for some company. This busy work is
Yeah.
taking you away from living your life.
Yeah. You know, the vibe is really strong on this one. The looking inwards and really understanding why you're here in this life. Like it's almost like I want to very literally say my thoughts are sitting here And then you know that whole like you pin something down, right? That's what
Hmm.
happens. Like just big, whatever you want to call it, a pin or whatever, stay holding it right, that thought right there. Your self introspection is so valuable to you leading your life and you actually, for lack of a better way of saying it, living your life purpose, that everything else is literally a distraction from who you are.
Yes.
And that
I
one's
have one
pinned. I
more.
can't let it, it won't move. That thought is
I
pinned.
have one more card,
Okay.
but it goes with it. You are not for everyone. Embrace your weirdness. Face your true north.
Yep.
And that, I think, is my final card for today. It's
Well,
sitting
and it
there
is,
looking at me.
yeah, and it's a very good mic drop one because it's like you're not for everyone and you have to understand that. So don't like it's such a lesson to know when to let go of something.
Hmm. It is. That's like the lesson, I think, for in so many ways. And letting go of control, massive,
Mhm.
massive. And if the listener is somebody who likes to give advice and then see the advice followed through, that's a superb place to start.
Mm.
When you give advice, even if somebody's asked for it, you give advice, it's like a gift at a birthday. Unless you're
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witness, in which case it's a gift at some other time. But
Yeah.
it's a gift. You gave it, it's not yours anymore. Let it go. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if they follow through or they don't. You did your part. And that's the point of what we're saying here is you focus on you, and that's what you're here to focus on. Not in a it's all about me, the world's about me, because that's not helpful either. But it's
Right.
more, where am I in this? What do I need to be doing right now? How do I feel about that? How am I going to respond to this? Like, what is true for me? And do I even need to respond to that thing? Like this, the post I mentioned earlier with the guy who said, "Oh, feel
Mm.
sorry for me because I can't be a witch." Like,
Right.
oh, good grief. My curiosity had me looking at the comments, but I didn't leave one because it's
Right.
like, no, I'm not feeding this. And even afterwards, I thought, okay, that's like 3 minutes of my life I'm not going to get back. But
Well, that's what I hate about social media because someone might say something once and you might go, "Oh, that's interesting. Let me see." And then after that, the algorithm thinks that's all you want to hear about. It's like, no, I was just curious for that one moment.
right,
This is not something I'm
yeah,
looking for. It happened to pop up, fine, whatever. But I'm not looking for this content.
you have to be so careful what you click on
Yeah.
because you will get more of it and it sucks you in.
Yeah.
So, but the whole embrace your weirdness, you're not for
Mhm.
everyone. In other words, don't worry about what others think about how you show up. That's that whole be authentic so long as you agree with us kind
Yeah.
of deal, right? But no, that's not where it's at.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's actually the final, not the final moment, the final idea of the podcast, as long as the final, as well as the final card, because it's true. In the end, do your introspection and really, again, don't worry where you had about having to be everywhere and having to do everything. The reality is you can be a hindrance if you're going somewhere you're not meant to be or you're trying to force yourself into. I can end this on a story to go along with that. Not too long ago, I was at an event and an aunt of mine, like an elderly aunt of mine, looked like she was stroking out. And her son, who happens to also be an alcoholic and who was drunk at the time, tried to take over the situation and tried to take charge. And it's like, listen, you are by no means a medical practitioner and you are not of a help here. So half the room kind of dragged him out while the paramedics finally got in to do what needed to be done. And it's like, listen, this is your key, your shining moment of when it's not you and you can't do anything, get the hell out of the way. Because he was a hindrance. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, that is true. So that's a case where, well, he was drunk, so he couldn't really do it. But
he'd have done it sober. Yeah,
introspection would be helpful,
right.
to sort of say, can I do anything in this situation, or shall I just get the hell out of the way? But he wasn't in a state to be able to do that,
Right.
so that's a whole other thing.
It is
And
a whole other thing, but I just thought it kind of showed the moment because it's a moment that sticks with me. It's like listen, I get it, right? he has like some self-esteem issues and stuff like that. It's just like, listen, dude, you're
Uh-huh.
gonna get your mom killed. Like, get the hell away. Like,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. We are an interesting species, but hot damn. Somebody said to me the other day that this is a really exciting time to be alive because of all the changes that are happening. And on a good day, I can agree with that. Not on every day, but on a good day, I can kind of like, okay, kind of, sort of. It's a bit
yeah,
difficult to be living in the middle of it, but I get what you're saying. I just, some days maybe, others not
yeah.
really.
Well, I'm trying to think. I know it's attributed to the Chinese and calling it a Chinese curse, but you know the whole thing of may you live in
May you live
interesting
in
times.
interesting times.
Yeah,
Yes, I think that one's been
not a
said so
blessing, it's a
often.
curse.
We are
Yeah.
now in. Oh, it was never meant as a blessing.
Yeah.
I don't think that was ever meant as a blessing. May you live in interesting times is one of the most subtle curses you can throw at somebody.
It's the equivalent of may you have the day you deserve.
Oh, that's another good one. Yes, or the day you voted for, which is
Yeah.
also very helpful. But yes, these are all. However, Allah Max, she just did it again.
All right.
Okay, I think we end at this point because I
Yeah.
have a major situation in this house.
All right. I
All
don't
right.
envy you, but good luck with all your work today. And for the rest of you, once again, she's Michaela Gaffin Stone.
And
Keep it
he's
cleaner.
Daniel Dubois.
Enjoy your day, Michaela.
À la prochaine.
La próxima.